Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now today's gonna be a different type of video. As you already know, new album coming soon in the next few days. Stay tuned. But in today's video, I'm gonna be giving a lyrical breakdown to one of my favorite songs on that album. It's actually track 1, the introduction of the album. Very unique type of record in terms of the theme of the record. Very sentimental for me in terms of the subject matter and who I'm talking about on a track. Now, the title of the album is called Sahel 1816. And obviously Sahel is a way of me paying homage to the legendary brothers down on the continent, the legendary brothers down in the Sahel, Captain Ibrahim Traore and General Assimi Goita and General Chiani. Shout out to the big dogs. And I gave them that homage and acknowledgement because they definitely inspired some tracks on the album. In fact, I got 2 tracks on the album. One is entitled Traore Freestyle and the other is entitled Goita Freestyle. And the 1816 is a way of me paying homage to one of my favorite ancestors, Christophe, General Christophe, King of Haiti. And the 1816 is significant because in that year, 1816, I would say that Christophe was undoubtedly, undisputed, the most powerful black man walking the planet during that time. The vast majority of black men in the Western Hemisphere were in bondage during that time. They were either in slavery or they were living under extreme discrimination. And the black men on the continent during that time were either dealing with internal instability or the increasing incursions of European invaders during that time. So I would say around the early 1800s, both the black men in the diaspora and the black men on the continent were going through very challenging times. And then you had Christophe in the middle of the Caribbean, worth hundreds of millions of dollars, armed with hundreds of cannons, built the largest and most significant military fortification in all of the Americas, with a massive standing army, cavalry, infantry, and a navy. And I used the year 1816 because I would say 1816, that was when Christophe was at the height of his power, right? Around that time is when he had challenged the authority of both the King of France and the President of the United States, right? Just 2 years earlier in the year 1814, he had killed the French ambassador, and then a couple years later, he had rejected a meeting with the representative from the United States government. I did a video on that too. I believe it's called, take a look up on the screen, the 1817 conflict between the United States government and the King of Haiti. And long story short, what had happened was the President of the United States, James Monroe, had sent a representative or a delegation to the island, to Christophe's territory, to meet with Christophe. And Christophe pretty much, you know, he said, listen, I got better things to do, man. I'm busy, bro. I got a lot of business to handle, so I ain't gonna meet with you. Very similar to what happened with General Chiani in Niger sometime last year when the United States had sent a delegation to meet with him. And he pretty much said, listen, bro, it's Ramadan, so I can't really fit you into my schedule right now. So I'm going to send a prime minister. You know, you can talk to the prime minister. It's Ramadan, so I'm going to be at the house chilling. So yeah, that situation happened around 1816, 1817, right? Christophe was at the height of his power, right? Just killed the representative of the French government a couple years prior and then embarrassed the United States government a couple years later. And neither of these governments retaliated against him. None of these governments took actions against Christophe because, like I said, he was at the height of his power. Christophe had the money to finance any military adventure, and he had the guns to defend himself, and he had the cannons to defend himself, and he had the army to defend himself. So at that time, ain't none of these white boys really want to smoke with Christophe like that. So that's the significance of the year 1816, right? Like I said, black men in both hemispheres going through very challenging times, and then you had a black man in the middle of the Caribbean, standing tall, standing undefeated in front of the enemy. So yeah, shout out to the ancestor. This song that I'm about to break down right now, this song was inspired by Christophe. The majority of the track, I'm actually speaking from Christophe's perspective. We're going to break that down, but I'm actually rapping from the perspective of Christophe. Like I actually tapped into the ancestor, and he actually was using my vessel to pretty much lay down these lyrics and lay down these bars. So we're going to be breaking that down. One of my favorite songs I ever wrote, one of my favorite songs I ever created, and it's track 1 on the album, right? So before we get into the breakdown, the lyric breakdown, let's set the scene. Let's set the background, right? First of all, the title of the song is called Cap Henry in 1814, right? 1814, that was when the French ambassador came to the country and he got killed, right? Christophe killed him, right? And Cap Henry, that was the capital of Christophe's government. That was the capital of his kingdom. That was the administrative capital of his sovereign territory. So the name of the track is called Cap Henry in 1814, right? That's the setting. Cap Henry, the location, the year 1814. So take a look up on the screen. Cap Haitian, also known as Cap Haitien, is a city with a history. It changed names several times, from Cap Français during the colonial period to Cap Henry during Christophe's reign, to be finally called Cap Haitien in the modern day. But many people refer to it as simply Le Cap. In 1814, a French spy named Franco de Medina, now time out, it's so funny, right? Because I just did a video talking about how the French government sent spies down to Burkina Faso who were arrested and detained and held in captivity by Ibrahim Traoré for over a year until the French government coughed up 60 million euros for their liberation from captivity. So as you can see, even 200 years later, these same tactics being used against the black man, the French government sending spies and agents to destabilize the black man. Let's continue. In 1814, a French spy named Franco de Medina was captured and arrested by Henry Christophe, the ruler of Haiti's north. The French plan was simple: divide and conquer. Promise the mulattoes and the people of color greater economic and political rights over the blacks, while the blacks working in the fields will be returned to their former slave owners, and the black soldiers and government officials will be purged from the island. Medina admitted that if Haiti did not submit to the sovereignty of France, Haitians will be entirely exterminated all the way to their children. Haiti did not submit, and Christophe ordered Medina to be executed. But in the face of this aggression, the young nation had no alternative but to invest war-depleted resources into its army and building fortresses like the mighty citadel to protect against re-enslavement. The French did not relent. Now, of course, during that time, in the year 1814, after the death of Dessalines, the nation was split into two governments, with Christophe controlled in the north, right, and the mulattoes, the sons of the French colonists, controlled in the south. Now, let's continue. The story starts much earlier, in April 1814, when the Emperor of France was forced to abdicate his throne and then saw himself exiled for the first time to the island of Elba. I believe they talk about Napoleon Bonaparte in this part. And when the newly restored King of France, Louis XVIII, evidently having learned nothing from Napoleon's ill-fated Leclerc expedition, they talking about back in, 1803, 1804, when we smacked them boys up, right? Them boys ain't learned nothing. Evidently having learned nothing from Napoleon's ill-fated Leclerc expedition, began to prepare his own military fleet for a Saint-Domingue reconquest. Yeah, the French don't like talking about 1814. They don't like talking about that. Anyway, let's continue. To understand France's failure, we must begin with the 3 French spies. Now, it's so funny, right? They sent 4 French spies to Ibrahim Traoré. They sent 3 French spies to Christophe. I mean, goddamn, the enemy never stopped, bro. 200 years later, we dealing with the same adversary with the same tactics. It's crazy. Let's continue. We must begin with the 3 French spies: Draverman, Medina, and Laves. Memorize these names because they are the ones who would take the fall for the French king's unconscionably arrogant dream of restoring his authority and slavery once more to Saint-Domingue. A former French colonist and a planter from Saint-Domingue, Pierre Victor, the Baron de Malouet, oversaw the mission. Now, Pierre Victor Malouet, that's the gentleman right here to the right. Like I said, one of the all-time Hall of Fame white supremacists. One of the, legendary white supremacists of the era and all time, right? He's up there with the best of them. He in the Hall of Fame, jersey in the rafters. Let's continue. Pierre Victor Baron de Malouet oversaw the mission. Previously dismissed by Napoleon for not supporting his incursion into Russia, Malouet was immediately reinstated by Louis XVIII and appointed as Minister of the Marines in the colonies. Under the imprimatur of Louis XVIII, in June 1814, Malouet sent a letter to Augustin Franco de Medina of Santo Domingo, Jean-François Laves, and Herman Draverman. The missive directed the 3 men to travel to the Caribbean island of Jamaica under British rule, and from there to form a plan to approach the 2 different rulers of Haiti. Their mission was twofold: to gain entry to either part of the island, the kingdom in the north or the republic in the south, to gather information that might be helpful for the planned military expedition. In the process, the 3 men needed to gauge the feelings of Haiti's 2 rulers vis-a-vis the return of French authority. Malouet instructed Draverman to travel to the Southern Republic to meet Borgella, Pétion's second in command, while Laves was meant to go with him to Port-au-Prince to appeal to Pétion. The rulers of the Southern Republic were to be approached first because Malouet believed that both Pétion and Borgella remained open to the prospect of French return. Now, obviously, like we know before, like I said, the Southern Republic, the South, was controlled by the mixed race mulatto officers, the sons of the French colonists. So like I said, these was their fathers, right? So this was their daddy. This was their daddy coming to meet with them, right? So, their daddies was coming to meet with their mixed race sons down in the South. That's why they said, go to the South first. Go to the mulattoes first, right? Because those are our babies, right? Those are our sons. So meet with them first because they're probably going to be more open to the prospect of us coming and regaining dominion over this territory. Now let's continue. The rulers of the Southern Republic were to be approached first, because Malouet believed that both Petro and Borgella remained open to the prospect of French return. Medina had the most dangerous mission of them all, one that he would end up paying for with his life. Malouet instructed him to go to the northern part of the island, to the Kingdom of Haiti, and try to meet Christophe. This might have been a reasonable plan if Christophe's state-run newspapers were not printing constant diatribes against France, warning both the ex-colonists and the French government under the pain of death to never return to the island whose people they once forced into bondage. Only 3 months before Medina's arrival in Cap Henry, the Royal Gazette of Haiti gleefully announced that the Emperor of France had at last been dethroned. They talk about Napoleon, right? When Napoleon was driven out of power, when Napoleon was overthrown, back in, what was it, 1815 or something like that? Yeah, Christophe celebrated. Christophe was like, yeah, Napoleon out of here. Let's continue. The Royal Gazette of Haiti gleefully announced that the Emperor of France had at last been dethroned. And in this part of the article, they put a quote from the newspaper at that time in Christophe's government. They said this: "The execrable Napoleon Bonaparte, who vainly tried to exterminate us, has just succumbed to the united efforts of the Allied powers. Europe has just broken its tyrannical yoke forever." Man, this is off topic, but goddamn, man, Christophe was the ultimate black man. I mean, articulate, intelligent, fearless, valiant. I mean, Christophe was the ultimate black man. Let's continue. Although the Haitian king expressed doubt about the politics of the French king with respect to Haiti, the same number of the Gazette issued a stern warning to all of France. Christophe said, "If by a false and reckless policy, owing to absurd calculations dictated by a sordid and rapacious interest, unjust aggressors once again come to defile our territory by placing a hostile foot here, if our implacable enemies, the colonists particularly, persist in their absurd and chimerical projects, if they do manage to entice the current government of France to wage an unjust, ruinous, and disastrous war against us, they will be the first to be sacrificed to our revenge. It is then that we will wage a war of extermination, and we will give no quarter and spare no prisoner." The article finished. Now, like I told you many times in previous videos, it's a reason why the French had to wait for Christophe to die before they came back to the island. When they mixed race sons took power and took over the island, that's when they came back and secured that deal for reparations. But when they offered that same deal to Christophe and demanded that Christophe pay reparations, you saw what Christophe said. Christophe said, "Listen, if by a false and reckless policy owing to absurd calculations dictated by a sordid and rapacious interest, unjust aggressors once again come to defile our territory by placing a hostile foot." Yo, my man Christophe was, man, listen, articulate black man, fly black man, man, listen, Christophe was that guy, man. Anyways, let's get into the track, man. Let's get into track 1 off the album. We're going to be breaking down the lyrics now that we set the scene for the theme of the track. Let's get into it. Yeah. We back. Spreading my wings and I had to get fly. Up at the top, an incredible vibe. Came from the bottom, I'm up in the sky. Give one look and said, "Baby, you fine." Wake up each morning and handle my business. They just be talking, you see me, I live. Ride on my enemies, sounding like thunder. 1804, got that shit in my spirit. 1804 when I step in the building. 1804, that's word of my mother. Rise my women and die for my brother. Never gonna fall when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Now, that right there, that's the chorus. I came through on the track. Spreading my wings and I had to get fly. Up at the top, an incredible vibe. Came from the bottom, I'm up in the sky. Gave one look and said, "Baby, you fine." Wake up each morning and they handle my business. They just be talking, you see me, I live it. Ride on my enemies, sounding like thunder. 1804, got that shit in my spirit. 1804 when I step in the building. 1804, and that's word of my mother. Ride for my women and die for my brother. That's the realest line on that. Ride for my women and die for my brother. Never gonna fall when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Let's continue. Told me she loved me and said that it's real. So independent, ain't signing no deal. Feel like a king and I'm up in Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Trying to run up but we let off a cannon. Secret location, I'm keeping it sealed. You ain't retaliate, Franco Medina. Came to the country and he got killed. You ain't retaliate, Rafi Mans. Thought you was loyal, thought you was real. Didn't even want to come pick up the body. Had your man locked up, he died in the cell. Up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south and I'm giving them hell. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Now, this part of the record on the verse, that's why I get into my Christophe bag. I say, Told me she loved me and said that it's real. So independent, ain't signing no deal. Feel like a king and I'm up in Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Now, you know, the citadel was positioned on a mountain 3,000 feet up in the sky. So I was like, I feel like a king and I'm up in Cap Henry, right? The capital of the kingdom. I feel like a king and I'm up in Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Try to run up and we let off a cannon. You know, the citadel was equipped with hundreds of cannons. Try to run up and we let off a cannon. Secret location, I'm keeping it sealed. Now, the location of the citadel, you know, nobody was allowed in the citadel, right? Only Christoph and his family and the military personnel and the high-ranking officials, right? It was like the Pentagon. It was like a top-secret government building back during that time. Everybody couldn't just come to the citadel. The citadel was top secret. The citadel was top secret, bruh. If you got caught trying to sneak into the citadel, automatic prison time. Automatic prison. Lock this guy up, man. He tried to sneak into the citadel. Lock this guy up. But yeah, man, the citadel was top secret. That's where Christoph kept all the top secret government documents, right? All the classified documents. That's where he kept, that was the storehouses for the sugar and coffee that we were going to sell and trade on the international markets. That was when we kept the endless stores of gunpowder. That was where, you know, Christoph kept his hundreds of $millions worth of gold. Right? Christoph had a storehouse full of gold, because when Christoph would trade, when Christoph would sell, he would only accept payment in gold, right? And he would only purchase things with coffee or sugar, right? Christoph did not pay with money. He said, listen, I'll give you 2,000 pounds of coffee for this, and you give me gold for that. Like, I'm only accepting gold, and I'll pay you in agriculture products. Like, that's how we did business, right? Like I remember one time Christoph bought this crazy 8-horse carriage from London, and he paid thousands of pounds of coffee. That's how he paid, they accepted the payment. That's how he paid, right? He only accepted payment in gold, and he would make payments in coffee or sugar or something like that. As you know, during that time, coffee and sugar were very, very highly desired commodities. Now, in the verse, I went on to say, you ain't retaliate. Franco Medina came to the country and he got killed. You ain't retaliate, ride for your mans. Thought you was loyal, thought you was real. Didn't even want to come pick up the body. Had your man locked up, he died in the cell. Now, in that part of the record, I'm obviously talking about the capture and the execution of Franco de Medina, the French ambassador, the French spy, the French representative, right, who was dispatched by the French government. That was basically me sending shots, throwing shades to the French government, right? You ain't retaliate, ride for your mans. Thought you was loyal. I thought you was real, right? You ain't even want to come pick up the body. We had your man locked up. He died in a cell. You ain't even want to come pick up the body. You ain't even want to come get the body so he could be buried by his family. Franco Medina came to the country. He got killed by Christoph. They didn't even come pick up the body. They didn't retaliate, ride for their mans, right? His family never saw him again. He probably still buried somewhere in Haiti, somewhere in an unmarked grave, somewhere where Christoph dumped him at. I don't know what Christoph did with him. Christoph probably just burned his body. Who knows? But yeah, you ain't retaliate, ride for your mans. Thought you was loyal, thought you was real. Then I went on to say, up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south, and I'm giving them hell. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Now, up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Everybody knows Christoph was known for his extravagant celebrations, his lavish celebrations, crazy parties. I'm talking about parties that would last for days and weeks. I'm talking about he would not party for one day. When Christoph would throw a party, the party would go on for days and days. It would be multiple day celebration, right? So up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south, and I'm giving them hell. Now, back during that time, the country was split, like I said, into two governments. Christoph controlled the north. The mixed race mulatto officers controlled the south. And there were many times where Christoph launched invasions, incursions into the south, trying to capture the south, and vice versa. There were many times where the southern mulatto generals launched invasions into the north, into the heart of the kingdom, into the north. So both sides going back and forth, right? During that time, that was what I call, the days of the Haitian Civil War, when the nation was split into two governments, and both generals, both armies, the South and the North, going back and forth, battling for supremacy. Now, like I said, Christoph's kingdom, rich, powerful, prosperous. The Southern Republic, trash, failed state, bullshit. Anyway, let's continue. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Shout out to Christoph's wife, Queen Maya Louise Guadavid. Now let's continue. Pour up a drink and it's time that we toast. Watching my back and my enemies close. Only the family family, I stick with my brothers. Cannons position outside of the coast. Heavy artillery for the protection. Move like a general, stick to the code. Feel like a king when I'm up in the north. Beautiful women, they trying to get chose. Launch an invasion all over the south. Capture the capital with all my woes. Look at my energy and my demeanor. Dripping that ice and that's head of my toes. Lately I'm flexing all on the Americans. Flexing my muscle on missing my road. Just got a carriage just coming from London. Boy, that shit cash, I ain't taking no loans. Boy, that shit cash, that's fresh on the boat. Enemy know I got millions in gold. Enemy know I got choppers and cannons. How did I do it? They can't understand it. How did I do it? It's cause I'm relentless. Call me King Harry, my name is cemented. Call me King Harry, I'm up in the palace. Call me King Harry, I'm raising the status. Now, that second verse is why I really get into my Christoph bag. I don't know what happened in that second verse, but I really think Christoph, I don't know where he came from, but I think he really took over my body. Like he took over my vessel when I was writing that record. And that second verse, that was all Christoph. That wasn't me. That was Christoph speaking. Like literally, if you listen to the verse, that was all Christoph speaking from the first person. That's crazy. When I listen to it, that's literally the ancestors speaking through my body. I was like, pour up a drink and it's time that we toast. Watching my back, keep my enemies close. Only the family, I stick with my brothers. Cannons position outside of the coast. Heavy artillery for the protection. Move like a general, stick to the code. Feel like a king when I'm up in the north. Beautiful women, they trying to get chose. Launch an invasion all over the south. Capture the capital with all my woes. Look at my energy and my demeanor. Dripping that ice and that's head of my toes. Listen, that was all Christoph right there. He was like, yo, pour up a drink and it's time that we toast. That was something Christoph loved to do during, like I said, his many lavish celebrations. Christoph would love to propose a toast. Like, we got to propose a toast. You know, put your drinks up in the air, right? That was Christoph's energy, right? And when I was like, only the family, I stick with my brothers. Cannons position outside of the coast. You know, the cannons in the citadel, right? And I was like, heavy artillery for the protection. Move like a general, stick to the code. Feel like a king when I'm up in the north. Beautiful women, they trying to get chose. Launch an invasion all over the south. Capture the capital with all my woes. Look at my energy and my demeanor. Dripping in ice and that's head of my toes, right? Christoph had a crazy jewelry collection. Not only Christoph, but his entire family. He made sure that his wife was always elegantly dressed, elegantly presenting. Made sure his kids always well polished, well presented. And Christoph's jewelry collection was crazy, man. When it came to the rings, the chains, the accessories, it was crazy. Anyways, I was like, dripping that ice and that's head of my toes. Lately, I'm flexing along the Americans, flexing my muscle on Mr. Monroe. Right, like I said before, when President James Monroe had sent the representative to meet with Christoph and, you know, have a conversation with him and touch bases with him, and Christoph pretty much snubbed the invitation. Christoph pretty much rejected the invitation, right? That's why I was like, lately I'm flexing along the Americans, flexing my muscle on Mr. Monroe. Then I was like, just got a carriage, it's coming from London. Bought that shit cash, I ain't taking no loans. Now, like I said, Christoph had one of the most magnificent 8-horse carriages. That was the official state carriage of the kingdom, right? And like I said, he paid for that in like 12,000 pounds of coffee. I don't even remember, but it was a crazy amount of coffee. Then I was like, bought that shit cash in, it's fresh off the boat. Enemy know I got millions in gold. Enemy know I got choppers and cannons. How did I do it? They can't understand it. How did I do it? It's cause I'm relentless. Call me King Harry, my name is cemented. Call me King Harry, I'm up in the palace. Call me King Harry, I'm raising the status. Yeah, man, yeah. That's the intro to the album, track one, man. Listen, I can't wait. Listen, just wait. Next few days, man. Stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Album coming very soon, y'all. Album coming very soon. Anyways, man, it's your boy Never Card. That's Salim back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. Cash app in the description. Support the channel, man. Support the album. Peace. Told me she loved me and said that it's real. So independent, ain't signing no deal. Feel like a king and I'm up in Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Trying to run up and we let off a cannon. Secret location, I'm keeping it sealed. You ain't retaliate, Franco Medina. Came to the country and he got killed. You ain't retaliate, Rafi Mans. Thought you was loyal, thought you was real. Didn't even want to come pick up the body. Had your man locked up, he died in the cell. Up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south and I'm giving them hell. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Run to the check like I work on my fitness. Wake up each morning and handle my business. Said that she love me, she want my genetics. Wanna get married and make it official. Wanna get married and have my babies. Up in the city, I'm riding Mercedes. Up in the city, they treat me like royalty. Feeling like Dolph, talking about lords. Spreading my wings and I had to get fly. Up in the top, an incredible vibe. Came from the bottom, I'm up in the sky. Gave one look and said, baby, you fine. Wake up each morning and handle my business. They just be talking, you see me, I live. Ride on my enemies, sounding like thunder. 1804, got that shit in my spirit. 1804 when I step in the building. 1804, that's word of my mother. Rock my women and die for my brother. Never gon' fold when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Pour up a drink and it's time that we toast. Watching my back, keep my enemies close. Only the family, I stick with my brothers. Cannon's position outside of the coast. Heavy artillery for the protection. Move like a general, stick to the code. Feel like a king when I'm up in the north. Beautiful women, they trying to get chose. Launch an invasion all over the south. Capture the capital with all my woes. Look at my energy and my demeanor. Dripping that ice and that's head to my toes. Lately I'm flexing all on the Americans. Flexing my muscle on missing my road. Just got a carriage, just coming from London. Boy, that shit cash, I ain't taking no loans. Boy, that shit cash, that's fresh on the boat. Enemy know I got millions in gold. Enemy know I got choppers and cannons. How did I do it? They can't understand it. How did I do it? It's cause I'm relentless. Call me King Harry, my name is cemented. Call me King Harry, I'm up in the palace. Call me King Harry, I'm raising the status.